Why is there a lack of confidence among business, almost in spite of the facts? Asked Simon Bridges in his NBR column this week. Simon, there's certainly been a lot of negativity from big business here in recent months. What are you seeing and hearing on the ground?
There's no doubt there is, and it's a very grumpy business environment. By the way, that's not just big, it's small, it's medium, it's every kind of business, and there are valid reasons for it, right? The worker shortages are across the spectrum and are for real. I've written about that before, and what you've also got is huge cost pressures that are really affecting the profitability of businesses. But on the other side of that, there are, I think, some positives that mean I pulled back. I almost wrote a column why there's not going to be a recession. I realized that was foolhardy, and that in fact, when the Fed's calling one fundamentally and other parts of the world are, even if I had a caveat around global affairs, I kind of would probably maybe be on the wrong side of history. But I think New Zealand is well placed in it all, relatively speaking. As the point I was trying to make is, there's some gloom. There are reasons for it, but it's all relative. And there are some reasons to have a sense that in New Zealand, we've still got some good things going on.
What are some of those positive points then?
Well, it's 1.7% growth for the last quarter. Look, as I say in the column, the economists will talk about the noise. I think that really just means they're not really sure what else to say about the future. There's the fact that, interest rates are going up, but in the end, even if they go up several percent, still lower than our mum and dads paid on their mortgages. Unemployment, even if it goes up a number of percent, will still be lower than the GFC, much lower than the Great Depression. Housing, look, it's come off a bit, and depending on your perspective, that's a good or a really bad thing. The reality is it's still 19% higher than it was in early 2020. And then you just think about what drives a little economy like New Zealand. Our farmers have got a low dollar. Fonterra's just put out their best results ever. And even tourism, I'm not suggesting it's perfect, but it does seem it's on the up. It's growing steadily, if not sort of really strongly at the moment. And I don't necessarily think, even with a global or at some level an international recession, those fundamentals driving some of that good news I'm talking about are going to change a lot.
How much do you think businesses are sort of considering that wider context, though? I mean, we saw the results of the Herald's Mood of the Boardroom survey over the last few days, pretty damning of the current government. I mean...
I think that's right. I think there's no doubt that in that crowd, and at this time, the government got a bit of a hammering on that. I think it is a case of it. I'm not dismissing, because the concerns that there's Auckland Business Chamber CEO, my business people tell me every day, they are real, and they're more than just anecdotal. They are seen across the surveys because they're here and now. It's what's on business. But I come at it again. If you think about the fact we have got growth, we have got full employment, even as the Reserve Bank does what it's probably going to do at a level. Even if the world, whether it's China, Ukraine, Taiwan, United States, has big troubles, people still need to eat. We're well placed on that front. And I still think even on tourism, whilst it'll be quite elastic, your high net worth people that seem to be filling our pretty expensive trips over to New Zealand, I think will keep coming. And so I say again, it's all relative. But there is some, relatively speaking, some upside and some reasons not to be too dejected as New Zealanders in business in 2022 going into 2023.
You also were at the breakfast debate between Robertson and Nicola Willis last week. I mean, how did you think Robertson sort of batted away some of these questions or handled some of the questions?
It's very interesting. I think the truth is, tough crowd for him. Scathing report. You Kiwis are polite, so you don't get sort of outward kind of disputation, if you like, in tough business conditions. Very grumpy sort of environment. Like I already said, no business is unaffected by the worker shortage and the cost escalation. In those circumstances, I thought he had a relatively good, from his perspective, and from some of the Labour Party's voters' story to tell, that brought him probably to a draw against Nicola Willis, who again performed, I thought, credibly. And there's a lot of support for what she was saying in that room, albeit I don't know that she needed to, and indeed did, do a huge amount to kind of scare the horses or new policies or the like, which obviously people will want to see from National as we get closer to an election.
Some good perspective there, Simon. Thanks very much for your time.
Good to talk to you.